Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a series review on the finally finished Barakamon 18 volumes put out by Yenpress. This is the larger trim-sized form factor, so they're quite expensive. Um, but this is a series about our main character here, Honda, who is a he's the son of a very famous calligrapher, and he himself is pretty famous as well for calligraphy. He's from Tokyo, and his father sends him to live on this island, this very small town, to kind of regroup a bit and get some more inspiration and kind of learn more about himself because he's kind of pompous, a little full of himself. He's uh, very talented, but still very young. I believe he's only like 22 or something, or 23 maybe. Um, and so his father sends him to this island to kind of get his head out of his ass and get to work and learn about what it means to be a person and socialize and learn about community. And yeah, it so it starts off with him moving to this small town, this island, and he basically right off the bat meets this young girl here. um and she is, how old is she? Naru is her name. She's, I think, in grade 1. So she'd be about 5 or 6 maybe. Um, and so he moves into this rundown house that is basically the hideout for all of the children of the island, and so of the town. And so immediately when he moves in, they have no respect for privacy. It's a small town, everybody knows each other, and everybody's constantly coming over. And he's kind of a solitary guy. He doesn't like people very much, and he just is very nervous around people and anxious and is obsessed with calligraphy and just wants to work. But these people are like, oh, new person, let's go hang out with the new person. And so the children are constantly in his house and bothering him, and the townspeople are constantly interested in him because he's this guy from the city, the big city. And yeah, he starts getting involved in some of their local events. He gets involved unwillingly in things like farming and um, helping out around the town. He's like, I'm just here living my life. And they're like, no, you're a part of the community now. You live here in this town with us. You're going to help out. You're going to pay your dues and get involved. And so it's a story about this young man who is um, thinking that he's just not good enough, and he really needs to, you know, get to calligraphy and be the best at it and be better than his dad and get the recognition that he believes he deserves. And but these people around him in this small town are trying to bring him out of his shell a little bit and have him experience some things he's never experienced before, like compassion and human interaction and helping people for the sake of helping, not for any personal gain. And just doing it because that's the neighborly thing to do. Uh, yeah, it's really, really fun. There was a point in the middle of it or closer to the end in like some of these volumes here, that I kind of was like, this is dragging on really, really long. I wish it would wrap up. Um, I don't necessarily think the story had to be 18 volumes long. I think it could have been shorter. Um, but I did enjoy it all the way through. There were just some slower parts than others. But it is really a slice of life. So if you were looking for something fast paced, this is not the story for you. It's very slow, small town life, very funny. It is hysterically funny. Um, because you have these kids who are just, Naru in particular, hysterical. He's Honda himself is quite funny in his ridiculousness. But yeah, most of the characters are funny. You've got some middle school students who are quite prominent. There's the one of the high school students is quite prominent because he's very close to Honda's age. Um, and yeah, the adults and the elderly folks in the community are quite funny as well. There's some sad parts. There's some people who pass away. um I believe. And then there's some, it's about family and connecting, and some of the family lives are not ideal, and it's mostly at the core of it is the story of Naru helping Honda, and vice versa. Like it's the story about these two people who are very different people, um, kind of breaking down the walls that they had built up. And Honda becomes, Naru calls him sensei, and most of the kids call him sensei, but Naru kind of sees Honda as this like older brother figure that she's always kind of wanted because her parents aren't around. She's raised by her grandfather, and Naru becomes this kind of honesty that Honda's never experienced before, because to Naru, anytime that Honda's having a problem, she's like, "Well, you're a grown up. Like, don't you just have to do it? Don't you have to just you can just put a smile on and enjoy your life, right? Like you don't have to be serious all the time." And I found that really beautiful. Um, the art at the beginning is quite, now looking at this, knowing what the art at the end looks like, this is quite interesting because the art definitely does not look like this by the end of the series. Um, yeah, that's quite funny actually. I hadn't looked at the art from volume 1 in a while. Um, I don't really want to spoil anything, but I'm sure I can just find some panels that are um, yeah, I really enjoy it. It was quite fun. Like I said, I think it could have been shorter, but I did enjoy it all the way through. Um, and it was very funny and very heartbreaking. There were a couple times when I teared up. I don't think I cried ever, but there were definitely times when I teared up because when you really get to know these characters through 18 full volumes, um, and it's a small town and you're like sucked in and you feel like you're living there yourself and that you're a part of these people's lives. And when things happen, when sad things happen, you're sucked in, and you really do feel that sadness along with all of these characters. And yeah, it's really fun if you like small town stuff, if you like things like Flying Witch, or oh, what's another good one, or Yotsuba for sure, things like that are really slow and just kind of you know quirky little comedies, then you will really enjoy this. Uh, yeah, I suggest picking up the first couple volumes and trying it out. I wouldn't say go out and buy the entire thing without knowing anything about it, because these volumes are quite pricey, and if you don't like the first couple volumes, you're not going to like the series because it's very much that just continued for 18 volumes. And yes, the character development happens, and yes, the story gets a bit more, well-rounded and whatever, but it really isn't. It's a pretty steady series all the way through, uh, at least in my opinion. I don't know if anyone else feels any differently, but yeah, if you don't like the first few volumes, then don't. I wouldn't continue it. If you've read Barakamon, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have not read it, or and you just have any questions about it, then for sure leave them in the comments below. Either myself or someone else will probably answer you. Um, yeah, thanks for watching.